Hi everyone, and welcome to Whole Latte Love live streams. I'm Zach.
I'm John.
And today we're going to be going over some cleaning, some spring cleaning.
Yeah, this is spring cleaning part 2. If you tuned in last time, you know that we talked about cleaning your semi-automatic machine. We went through back flushing the group. We went through the steam wands a little bit, using Rinza and other Ernex products. And we even talked about some grinds right there as well, and we're going to go a little bit farther with that today as well.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to be going over some grinders that you see in front of us, a couple different designs, and how we kind of recommend picking and choosing how you want to clean these. I always recommend cleaning them pretty often, and then we'll go ahead and get into our supers after that. A lot of supers are very similar in a lot of ways. Some include certain things to kind of help you along with that cleaning process, like those attachments included with Juras as well. But today we're going to be going over some Gaggia super autos specifically.
That's right, yeah. We've got the Academia right behind us right here, and we've also got the Gaggia Anima. We're going to show you a few different things that we recommend doing, how to do a lot of them. We're not going to have time to do a full descale or anything like that, but we can show you exactly what needs to be done, about how often to do it, and show you the products that you're going to need for that kind of thing as well.
And with that, if you have any sort of deep dives into any of these machines or your specific grinder, we do have a lot on our support page about how to descale in more depth of how to do so. Today we're just going to do a quick spring cleaning, things you should be doing pretty often, and really diving in there with certain products as well.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to this one. This is, even the last one that we did, cleaning the semi-automatic machines, this is pretty dear to my heart because this really can save a lot of headache down the line. If you are on top of your cleaning, you're going to avoid a lot of issues, especially when it comes to scale. We're probably going to talk a little bit about water today as well. Scale, and not just that, but you're going to make your coffee taste better by not having bitter oils building up. So you're actually going to enjoy your coffee even more too.
Yeah, a clean machine is a happy machine.
And
so
then,
I think we should start with this thing, right?
Yeah. Let's talk about the Eureka Mignon design. This is actually a line that Eureka makes that it's based on the design. Actually, these are really built like a Specialita. There's 55mm burrs in here, but this one is made of a wood body. They also have a bunch of other options like concrete and things like that. So they really got creative with the design.
So as we clean this Mignon design, it's kind of the same to all other Mignon, Libras, Specialitas, whatever it might be. It's all in the same sort of genre of taking apart and cleaning. For these specifically, I think we're going to approach the Eureka not using a screwdriver, but we're going to actually utilize grinds.
That's right. Yeah, we talked about this a little bit last week. And today I'm pretty excited to show you exactly what we would do with grinds. So I'm going to plug this in. Usually what you want to do with grinds, you take one cap full and you want to have an empty hopper. So we've got those things right here. Zach, why don't you get us a cap full?
All right.
And we're just going to grind right through. And then we're going to take a look at the grinds and see exactly what came out.
So if you look at these, they kind of look like fake coffee beans. Now these are a little bit less dense. There are other grinds available that we'll be going through shortly, like the super grinds that are a little less dense. These ones are specifically designed for conicals or flat burr, steel type or coated type burrs specifically. So
right.
These will do really well with that. And all this is really doing when we're grinding through this is it's collecting all of that oil and brushing it out, right? And simply, in a way.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. A lot of fine coffee particulate, it's going to get a lot of that out too. And that's why it's always kind of fun to have a look at the actual grinds that come out, or how it grinds it, and see what other kind of like coffee colored particles are coming out with it. And that's how you know it's really done its job. So
gotcha. So we can go ahead and just take kind of anything really, either a cup, or I take like a tray, or sometimes I'll just do it to the counter.
Right on the counter, yeah.
Make a huge mess and then clean it afterwards. But after you grind through this, you do want to run a little bit of coffee through it afterwards until you stop seeing the yellow come out too.
That's right.
So if you do see a significant difference in your grind size after doing so, I would also then recommend maybe taking apart your grinder and just quickly brushing off a little bit, because that shows that, it was definitely time to use grinds at least, but definitely check on some more things in there. So this is our regular cleaning.
Right, yeah. This is, in a cafe, I would do these run grinds through here about once a week. At home, I really recommend it about once a month. With lighter use, you can do even less, maybe once every 2 months.
All right.
So want to see what we get?
I'm going to do a hot start. So everything's in the hopper first, and I'll let this ride.
Oh, wow. Look at all that.
And you can see that at first, even though we emptied out the hopper, there's still a lot of darkness coming out.
There we go.
We'll kind of inspect this afterwards too. Just the health of what we're looking at here. You can see it's a good little mixture of, dark towards the bottom, but it definitely went clear and light towards the top. So I'm looking at, that did a pretty good job at just kind of clearing out whatever was kind of left of that maybe previous coffee, or whatever was sticking to the burrs itself. So now we would actually just run some regular coffee afterwards, and we would be set to go, really. So after that, I usually like cleaning off the hopper on the inside of this, and we'll typically do just a microfiber cloth. I preferably like soap and water when dealing with these hoppers, but if they do get really gummed up with darker roasted coffee, you can use something like wipes from Eureka. I think those work pretty sufficiently, but make sure that you then use some soap and water afterwards and you let that out to dry, because you don't want any of that aroma coming from any sort of cleaner. So definitely stay away from anything really strong when it comes to your grinders as well, because so much of the flavor profile of anything we do comes from our grinder. You don't want to take on that flavor profile of bleach. I don't know what you would use it.
And
I don't want to hear those stories, but
yeah. And coffee is very thirsty. Anything, even if you store coffee open with a bunch of spices and things like that, it will take on that profile. So
exactly.
So you do want to make sure that you get any compounds completely out of the inside of the grinder hopper before you put coffee back in, because again, coffee is thirsty. It will take those flavors on.
So now, before taking apart a grinder, we won't be doing it with this one, but make sure that you are unplugging your machine first, no matter what it is, before taking apart anything. Double check with your buddy to make sure. Is this unplugged? Yeah, it's unplugged.
That's
okay,
unplugged.
Cool.
Yeah,
Sweet.
yeah,
Awesome.
you're good
Just
to go.
double checking, and then you can start taking apart your grinder. With these Eureka Mignon series grinders, and most Eurekas, you can actually find the screw keeping the top on the back. So if you actually just take this off here, you'll have access to that screw right on the back side, and the whole top will then come off after you've already taken off this hopper as well. So from there, you can use a couple other things to start cleaning the inside of your grinder, which we'll actually show on the next grinder right here.
Yeah, I've got a Ceado E37S right here. And Norm, I don't know if, hey, shout out to Norm on the boards back here. I don't know if you can get close in here and see just how dirty this hopper is. This hopper's pretty dirty right now. And you know what, I would use something like those Eureka wipes. Do we have those back here?
Yeah. So conveniently, I have them, right here. So
hey, nice.
These Eureka wipes are pretty great. If something is pretty gummed up, or you just want to use this on the outside body of your grinder too, I feel like is great. Ceado does recommend with the body of their grinder that you're only using soap and water. So I usually like to stick with that fact, so not even using wipes on that. But these are safe for most things.
Yeah, I even use these on the outside of espresso machines as well, not just on grinders.
So. Yeah, so that's why all of our machines look so spick and span all the time, is because of Eureka wipes.
That's right. So let's do this. Let's get rid of, let's get the hopper off here. And by the way, don't put your hoppers in the dishwasher. You really only want to hand wash these. I don't do it too often because I don't want it to get cloudy or scratch it up if I'm using any kind of an abrasive sponge. But and then I would just let it air dry. But to get inside of these Ceado grinders, Zach's got one of the most ubiquitous tools in a household, Phillips head screwdriver.
Yep, so I'm just going to use this Phillips head, and the great thing about these E37S grinders and most Ceado grinders is that we're like 3 screws away from having access to burrs and really doing a nice deep clean. So if you really like dark roast or anything like that, I do suggest Ceado, not only for their grind quality, but the ease of use of actually getting in there and cleaning. Because if you're using a dark roast, I recommend getting in there maybe every 2 weeks or so, depending on how much you're using this. So
that's right.
With this, I'm just gonna go ahead, first double checking that this is unplugged. John, this is unplugged, right?
Unplugged.
Okay, cool.
You're safe.
Sweet.
You're good.
Awesome.
By the way, if you're getting on the inside of any espresso machine ever, I would also unplug that too.
Yep. All right, so oftentimes I'll just actually use the front of my grinder to keep track of my screws as well. So I'm just gonna go ahead and plop this down.
There you go. And now with these Ceado grinders, a lot of them will maintain their grind setting even when you take the top off, right? So when you put it back on, you're gonna have, in theory, the exact same grind setting.
So now say your spring cleaning has come, every 4, 5, 7 years, and it's actually time to maybe change out your burrs. This is gonna be that time that you can do so, and this is gonna be exactly what you do when you change out those burrs. So let's say you cleaned every 2 weeks, you're staying up to things, and this level is actually starting to change, that you have to start going finer and finer in order to get an espresso grind. No matter how much you're taking it apart, cleaning it, throwing some grinds into it, it is then time for some new burrs. Luckily, these are 83 millimeter flat burrs that we have SSP upgrades to these, or you can just get the standard Ceado burrs that they make of different kinds of its coatings on the outside that really make it very high performance as well.
Oh yeah, you can upgrade to the Opal Glide burrs as well, which do have a tendency of getting even more grounds out of the chamber, which is why, actually, that's why that Ceado Chameleon uses those.
Yep.
Look at this.
All right, so get this nice, good overview. So we did leave this, with a good amount of wear and tear, some oils built up from some Crema Wave inside there. So Crema Wave's not the darkest coffee in the world whatsoever. Still safe for super autos as well. But you can still see that because of these screw holes on here, that you do get some buildup within here as well. And then just kind of through the teeth as well. So we'll use a couple different tools. Included in some of our grinding packages is this kind of dual-sided brush, which I really like. So you can really kind of brush things away quickly, or get pretty aggressive with it too, in getting inside these screw holes. And we're just kind of cleaning everywhere around this. You don't necessarily need to take off the burr itself when doing so, but you definitely want to get inside there pretty aggressive. If you have any toothpicks, or any picks in general, or just like a fine Phillips head, I do kind of like to get in between these burrs as well, if you really start seeing some buildup in between that you just can't get with a brush.
Now, you don't want to take these burrs off and soak them in water, do anything like that, right? You really just want to use dry materials like a brush or a pick and stuff like that.
Yeah,
right?
Everything completely dry at this point, especially because there's many burrs out there too that might be an uncoated burr, just straight steel, and we don't want too much moisture within inside this environment that might produce any corrosion.
Right.
So keeping moisture out of this environment is important. A little RDT has not been proven to be a bad thing within this. After much testing and many years of using RDT, luckily I've never seen anything corrode, again, depending on your grinder out there. But definitely keeping an eye on stuff like that, just in case, is a good thing, just depending on how humid it is where your grinder is specifically too. So
now we're not looking too bad in here. There's plenty to clean up. You know what I really like doing when I get in the inside of a grinder is I'll take a shop vac, or even just the hose extension of just a regular household vacuum cleaner. And once I get everything all broken up like what you're doing here, I'll take that hose and just get right in there and just suck up all the grounds, anything that I might not be able to get to, down inside what I call the grinding chamber. right in here, you can get any of that extra stuff out of there. And again, keep in mind, that's all old coffee. So if you want to get old coffee out of there, which I highly recommend, deep cleaning like this is going to be a really good idea. Excellent for the grinder, keeps things moving as well.
Yeah, and as you can see, I'm kind of pushing it on the outside and kind of into that chamber as well. And then you see me just like turning this every so often because it is slowly pushing outside of our chamber as well.
I can see right
so
here, yeah.
One thing about these as well on these Ceados is that you do want to ensure that everything is pretty free. Oh, I forgot about my screws. All right.
That's all good.
Let's move back here. Just a little clumsy. All right, so as you can see in here, you want to make sure that this chamber is also pretty free and clear of any kind of oils or anything like that, which is really nice to then use a brush to also pay attention to this side. As you can see, there's a bunch of grinds that come out and start getting stuck. So if you ever see any clumping out of these specific Ceado grinders, make sure you're taking and cleaning it from this side as well. Although there is a little bit of a declumping plate inside here that will block most of your access to get all the way through. But just making sure the general vicinity of this is nice, free, and clear until you stop seeing grinds come out. As you can see, it starts coming out for a while and making a nice mess now, but it'll be nice and free-flowing now with that.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, and the E37S does a really killer job declumping grounds to begin with, but getting all that stuff out of there is only going to help get everything out even better, more consistent, fewer oils, all those things. So you actually did a good job getting a pretty good amount of stuff out of here.
Pretty good job getting it out and then making a mess on the way out. So this is where I usually take my handy dandy microfiber and I just start brushing everything off. Again, I'm keeping everything pretty dry at this point because I don't want too much smearing from any residual oil or these fines that also tend to build up within inside our chambers here. A lot of those fines are just like kind of dissolving within the chamber, especially if you have a grinder that is working pretty hot.
Yeah.
A lot of those grinds will then dissolve and start really building up.
Yeah, they'll just kind of become a paste, like an oil.
Exactly. So you might see that within your grinder, and in that case, again, you might get a little bit finer with, something like this where you're really starting to kind of pick away at some finer things there, and then really get rid of maybe some coffee in between, anything like that. And then you're kind of good to go. I wouldn't be too concerned about the coffee in here besides the taste that it might leave off. Again, something that we probably could not taste though.
Sure.
Realistically.
I mean, at this point, there's so little left. Now, every now and then I like to do a deep clean where I actually do take the burrs off. We're not going to do that today, but you can expose even more stuff that would be happy to come off if you do take the burrs off. So, and usually I don't really do that very often. I'll definitely get a really good cleaning in anytime I change the burrs. You're going to have so many parts exposed that's a great opportunity to clean anything that's underneath the burrs or kind of around those areas.
All right, and then as we bring on this, it's just like, putting a wheel on a car. You want to put those lugs on kind of equally in a pattern around as much as possible. With most of these grinders, it's pretty tight restraints, within most of the fitting elements of grinders. It's especially this Varia that we're about to go on to as well. As you screw that on, it's pretty tight restraints, and for a good reason. They're all precision material and precision crafted. So.
Right. I think I might need your screwdriver help on this one.
Gotcha.
There we go. So, and even in the top of this area that we took off, I still see a bunch of grounds there. I would probably just take a shop vac or the vacuum and just get all that stuff out of there, and you're going to be in good shape. So we just did a nice job cleaning this the inside of the grinder, and I would say that if you just clean off that hopper and let it air dry, then we're going to have almost a brand new grinder here.
Yeah, and as you can see, after we start cleaning things pretty thoroughly, we make quite a big mess. So I usually just like to then brush everything off. I usually, like to have something nice and big like this Revolution one I mean, you can even get like a paintbrush as well with some soft bristles, so you're not really scratching anything. That's why I kind of like this Revolution one, though. It's nice soft bristles, and it'll kind of clean up everything nice and fast for you. So,
yeah, no, that's my favorite one, especially for messes like this. And again, let's be real, it's coffee. It's a messy business, always has been, always will be.
Yep.
So having the right tools is only going to help you.
All right, and then from there, you know, we'd be taking care of our hopper as well. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next Burr style. So we went through an 83 millimeter Ceado style Burr, super easy to clean, 3 screws away. Now we're kind of into this next style. So with this next style, with Varia, we don't need any tools, which is pretty great.
That's the best part.
Yeah, so all we need is our hands. These are our tools today. So we can go ahead and bring this center here. John, thank you so much for spring cleaning.
Oh, sure. You know, it's spring cleaning
great.
time. I got to be on it.
Yep. All right, so with this one here, we have the new VS6 Varia grinder here. Great thing about this, very similar to the VS3 as well, that we can just kind of take off the bellows. I can talk, this is great. Then there's a little bit of a collar to take off as well. That's just an indicator. Keeping in mind also, before you take this off, what grind size you are at. And then also below this, it's a little hard to see right now, but there are little tiny notches, actually little indicators as well of the depth of how much you need to then screw back in this top. So keep that in mind before taking it off. Take a quick picture if you think you're going to forget. Here I see that I am on 9, and I can see pretty evenly 2 dots down below here. Again, they're pretty small dots. They don't need to be very large, honestly.
Now that'll give us an idea of what where to put it, because if we put it too fine the next time, then we're not going to see those dots at all.
So this is kind of like a space aluminum frame.
Yeah.
So this body is it's kind of textured as well, so it can be a little difficult to clean as well. I think I just use like a little microfiber cloth, and that works out perfectly.
Yeah, and you know, I'm seeing a little bit of grounds right on the chute in the front, and I might take like a smaller brush to just kind of send some of that.
Like this one?
Yeah, something like that, and just send it right inside of the dosing cup right here. Not making too much of a mess. You know what else about these Varia VS6 grinders? This will come. The chute will actually come right off.
Yep.
So you can get right in there. I can actually see a whole bunch of coffee on the inside here. And this is nice and easy.
Yep.
Just kind of get right in here.
And that's what's so great, that Varia really thought of cleaning, you know, that chute ahead of time of designing this grinder. They know people like to get inside these chambers and clean those out, and they know how much it can collect coffee over time, no matter how careful you are or how zero retention you think you are.
Right, yep.
You know, there are some residual grounds within there that, you know, might change the flavor profile of your next espresso. So with this, I'm again making sure this is unplugged. This is unplugged, right, John? Okay.
You know, I did you the favor of taking the plug out entirely. I think you're safe on this one, yeah.
All right. Sounds good. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and unscrew the top. Again, nice and easy.
And now there's a lot of grinders that will actually open up this way, where you have to completely unscrew the adjustment. A lot of them have an adjustment collar. You have to completely coarsen some grinders, and then it comes off just like that.
So I would say that this one isn't quite as, I would almost care to say, annoying as some of those other grinders.
Agreed, yeah.
That you would actually have to use these adjustment collars to really like press down as well. And a lot of those old commercial grinders, you would really have to put on like nice even weight for it to really start screwing on. But this is not the case with this one. It goes in nice and easy, and I think it has a lot to do with the design of this top as well, just being nice and weighted. Yeah. And then how they actually threaded this design as well. It goes on nice
Super
and easy.
easy, yeah.
Nice and easy.
Now all you're gonna do here is take off that top ring and then take off the top burr set, right?
And as you can see, this bearing on top, you definitely want to clean that off pretty often. Definitely collects some grinds right there. And then we have easy access to everything. Just like that, no tools involved. Also keeping in mind that there are some springs around here that you want to note that they are there. Because as you start cleaning, you might get crazy with it and start losing some springs somewhere.
Oh, have you ever taken the shop vac to a grinder and sucked up a spring?
I'm not going to say anything. I'm a professional.
I have.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
so,
then
so
yes,
just be careful of that. If you're going to take the vacuum to it, just be careful of springs. This is not the only grinder that does have springs along the sides. So
Yes.
just anytime you see that, just be careful if you're ever going to take a vacuum to it. Maybe just grab the springs out of there so you don't suck them up.
So this bearing, nice and easy to clean. I just use a microfiber and you're set to go. Just set it somewhere nice where you're not going to forget to put that back in. It won't fit very great if you don't put that back in, so you'll know kind of right away, especially on that grind size as well.
Right.
So with this, we're going to do the same exact process. You're just going to kind of use your nice brush, and the great thing about this, if you've noticed the difference between the Ceado and this one, there's something missing there, right? There's no screws actually on this top side because they are bottom mounted.
That's right.
So since they are, actually they're not even bottom mounted, they're actually their own pieces. Much like bottom mount burrs, we have the full open face. So that does increase the surface area of our grinding as well. So it doesn't decrease anything like the Ceado. Keeps a very consistent grind that way as well.
So you don't have areas of the actual grinding plate that's taken up with screws instead of actual burr teeth, right?
Exactly. So our whole grinding process is having a very similar grind particle distribution because of that, I found.
Nice. Nice.
So again, just kind of quickly cleaning throughout, kind of going through here. Varia has a really good way of not collecting too many grounds because of this as well, because I found a lot of those grounds will be trapped because of screws. So
sure.
I think these stay pretty clean actually throughout the grinding process, I've noticed, no matter how much coffee I've really put in. So the only time that I've really found a difference was with super dark roasts.
Oh, sure. Yeah, and I kind of expect that anyway. Some oils might help grounds stick to the inside of surfaces on the inside of the grinder. But also, I mean, this is a zero retention grinder. We've got the bellows, the blowout bellows, so it is blowing out a lot more grounds than a traditional espresso grinder.
Definitely. So before we kind of wrap this one up, I do like to make sure that these are kind of free of any grinds before we start screwing this back in. So just ensuring that the inside of this is clean as well. And I'll just kind of quickly brush around on this.
Now that's important because you don't want little tiny grind particles getting caught in between the threads when you go to put that collar back on.
And you'll notice that there is a slight lubrication on this as well sometimes. And if you just lightly brush this too, it doesn't seem to interfere too much with that. So,
yeah, you don't want to wipe that off too much because you might take the lubrication off.
Correct. All right. So with this,
oh, other way.
I think the burrs would go together, right? All right.
Nice. And then what's that top ring called?
Yeah, I did the regular thing that I always do, and I always forget this bearing.
The bearing. Yes, that's right.
All right, so this just plops right on top right there, and we're kind of good to go from there.
Absolutely.
All right. I always like to make sure that this is on tight. You can kind of see by how well your actual gasket is on, and that's gasket's on nice and tight, nice and even, and we're kind of good to go.
Perfect. Now the way this grinder works, those springs will actually contract the lower or the further in you screw this adjustment collar.
Correct.
So, and those springs are going to keep the burrs apart when you need them apart, and they're just going to come together when you're screwing in closer, which is what Zach is doing right now. And that's how you're going to make it finer or coarser.
And you definitely know when you found your thread on that too. I mean, this thing screws on nice and easy. Again, as you start coming closer to the bottom, I'll go ahead and line up my collar on that front side.
and let's see if you can get your grind setting back to where it was.
And you know, I didn't take my picture or anything, but I think I was a 9 and 2, right?
9 and 2 dots.
9 and 2. Yep. Perfect.
That's it.
And just like that, we have a nice clean Varia grinder.
Super easy, not even a screwdriver.
Yep.
Nice.
So that's what I love about these.
And of course, you can always take that bottom burr set off and see if there's any grounds or any gunk or anything like that beneath that burr set too. Again, you can get burr upgrades for the VS6 and the VS3, by the way. So if you ever want to change your burrs out, that would be, again, a great time to deep clean beneath that bottom burr set too. Any opportunity you can.
And that is really why they made that so easy too, because they know people want to be kind of changing between different burrs, maybe a different pour over set, maybe on the VS6 switching between conical and flat as well, which is a crazy thing. I feel like we downplay that sometimes, that we haven't seen that on many grinders before, that you can actually switch between flat and conical, kind of ending that age-old debate of like what is better. I mean, the grinder has both, so
you don't have to decide anymore.
Yeah. Conicals typically producing a little bit more fines within that particle distribution, and flats, a little bit more even with that particle distribution. Again, that's a general assumption. There's a lot of different geometries and things that we're learning about burrs that are kind of changing our minds slowly. So.
Oh yeah, which is an exciting time to be in the espresso game.
Definitely.
So I do want to talk about some super automatic machines. These are actually very easy to clean, and there are going to be some products that we want to show you on what to actually use when you're cleaning your super automatic machines. One thing that I want to start with is, for a long time there was actually no product that could clean the grinder of a super automatic machine. This is our Gaggia Anima. And I want to show you a product right now called Super Grinds. And all we're going to do, we're pretty much going to do the exact same thing that we did with the regular grinds, but we're going to do it with a totally different product that is actually suited for super automatic grinders. These
and
are
I don't need these.
Grinders.
Right?
You don't need those.
I don't need these.
Super easy. Now, you know what I am going to do? I'm going to use this cup because we're going to have to brew an espresso. So let's go ahead and turn ourselves on here. Come on, partner. I don't have it on back here, that's why. Thanks, Zach.
Yeah, so most of these super autos do have 2 power switches. So there's one main power switch on the back, one on the front. We always turn those off in between moving around our machine.
That's right. Now, you know what? This one needs
some cleaning, huh?
A real quick, this one does need some cleaning.
So sometimes you'll actually have these warnings on the machine too, that you need to be cleaning out the drag drawer, cleaning out something, or else these sensors actually won't work. And you'll run into these same dilemmas that we're actually currently having right now.
You know what it needs? A brew group.
Oh, it probably needs a brew group.
This is good. I wanted to show exactly where this brew group is. Let's start here. The brew group you are going to find in most machines, most Gaggia machines, actually looks like this. So this is where all of the action pretty much happens. This is the chute where coffee is going to go into. This little chute right there, that little slope is going to be where grounds are going to go into what we call the drag drawer. That's where all of your spent, much smaller espresso pucks are going to go. And then, of course, it's actually going to send coffee up through the system and out through the spouts in the front. So I did want to show you real quick what to do with these brew groups. Once a week, you want to make sure that you run these under warm water. You don't want to use soap and water, things like that. You just want it to air dry. That's all. So nice and easy. You'll see you'll see a gasket and some O-rings and things like that. There is lubricant on those O-rings, so you don't want to get that lubricant, make that lubricant fall off or wash off or anything like that. Yeah. You don't want to wipe it off. Now, we do have right here. Most Gaggia machines are going to come with a little bit of Gaggia food safe lubricant. So every now and then, if you want to re-lubricate some of your O-rings right here. That's really going to help everything slide into place. You're even going to find a few other areas that you might actually want to lubricate as well. Speaking of like the track along which the brew group goes into the machine. That can really help get these things in and out nice and easy. So very, very important. This is kind of a once a week thing, so pretty often you're going to want to take this out. And we'll show you a little more how to do that on the Academia. And let's get my brew group in here. Now we can access that from the side. Now here's what we're going to do. This has little handholds. You can kind of see exactly where it's supposed to be grabbed from. So I'm going to do this from the other side. But you just want to get it right along this track right here, just like that.
Really ensuring that you get it along the track too. So if you've ever had a stuck brew group or something not brewing, that might actually be the exact reason for that, that these are not all the way into place. So that's really important to get right into place with these brew groups.
You're going to know you're in place when you can't just pull it out. You have to press, you have to pull this little lever right there that says push. You have to do that in order to get it out, otherwise...
You mean you have to pull the push?
You have to push the push.
You have to push the push.
Yeah, I'm doing it backwards right now, so you know. But that's how you're going to know that it's actually in place, is if you can't get it out without pressing that. So I think what we're going to do is make some coffee, but we're not going to actually make coffee. We're just going to run some super grinds through the grinding chamber, and then we'll have a look in the dreg drawer and we'll see exactly how much it got out of the chamber, just like how we did with that Eureka grinder. Here we go. Now another thing it's going to ask you to do a lot, there we go, now it's happy with me. Something else it's going to ask you to do a lot is just double check your drip tray as well. You can take that out, clean that out. You can take the dreg drawer out, clean that out too.
And that's also when kind of your wipes kind of come along. That I usually run underneath the sink. It's kind of like doing your dishes. I'll just take that dreg drawer, dump as much grinds out, unless you have a garbage disposal, of course, and just kind of wipe that down, free of any of those grinds or anything that might collect inside that drip tray as well.
Right.
So super easy to clean. Now there are some larger dreg drawers out there as well. The Academia being a little bit larger than this, so that's something to look forward to in larger super autos. That you don't have to do that as often, but you'll still find sometimes that the drip tray, depending on how messy you are, does fill up.
Right. So I'll tell you what, why don't we grab some super grinds and let's just go ahead and grind some through here.
Some soup or grinds?
Not soup or grinds.
Oh, no.
Repeat after me.
Brought it right over here. So super grinds. We kind of talked about it a little bit earlier. So most of these super autos actually have like ceramic burrs into it. Not as crazy and strong like some of the other burrs that we were seeing earlier. So the density of this is not as, it's not as dense.
Yeah, they're actually, they're flatter. I mean, they're all kind of coffee bean shaped. You know, even the yellow ones and the regular grinds, they're just coffee bean shaped.
Yep.
Put them on through, grind them. These are just a little flatter. They're easier for this kind of grinder to handle. So you're going to take a cap full, kind of like what we did last time with that Eureka Mignon design. And let's just go ahead and put it in the hopper. I did empty the hopper earlier, so we're good to go here. And let me just make sure it's all fed right in. All right, I'm going to come around here. We're going to brew an espresso. Here we go.
All right.
Right now it's
Espresso right into our cup.
That's right. Show me what you got.
And now there's a couple different ways that you could just cancel this instead of brewing as well. You cancel it from here, let it drop into your dreg drawer, cancel brewing so it doesn't come out, and then you're good from there. So that's all the grinder really needs at that point.
That's about it.
And as you can see, you need to run this a few times in order to get through all of your grinds. But after that, you're spick and span, you're golden.
That's right.
So you'll know when to do this, especially if you're on your finest setting of your super auto and you're getting a really high flow out. You know, it's not getting as fine as normal. You can always inspect your pucks inside that drug drawer to see, you know, how together they're staying. Are they staying as a whole puck? That's an important thing to really consider, especially as things are like building up oils. But in order to just stay on top of that, you know, do this about every 2-3 weeks or so, depending on how dark that coffee is and how many oils are really coming off.
That's right. Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks is a pretty good rule of thumb for these, especially if you're using a much darker coffee. We don't recommend very oily beans when it comes to super autos, because even the super grinds are going to have a very difficult time helping keep things moving along, even with very oily beans. So, you know, something like the crema wave is still like getting into the dark roast territory, but not a totally soaking bean. So
exactly, yeah, you have a lot of those dark roasted flavor notes to that, but in a really nice blend that is safe for super autos. So you might see that a lot at roasteries. When you ask them too, the important question is it safe for super autos? So
that's right.
It'll definitely struggle with super oily beans. So stay away from a lot of oils and your machine will love you. So,
yeah,
you know, stick with crema wave basically is what I'm saying.
You're going to run into some oils no matter what, and you know, super fine particulate. So, and that's where this the super grinds is really going to help you out. So
definitely.
Let's bust out the academia.
Perfect.
And we're going to talk about the actual what we call the Gaggia clean tablets. Oh, I think I spilled a little bit. That's okay. And there's going to be a few different functions for cleaning that you can do on a lot of the super automatic machines. One of them is descaling, and this is maybe a good opportunity to talk about water.
Ah, my favorite subject.
Yeah.
So I teach a lot about water, and I go really in depth with basically everyone that works here, both techs and sales, because water is so important. I mean, it's used to brew our espresso. If the water is bad, your coffee is likely to be bad. And not only that, but let's say your water is too empty, something similar to a distilled water or RO, you know, that can actually destroy your machine. It can actually cause it to start corrode the inside of your machine by, you know, creating little pinholes, because basically it all has to do with taking in and becoming a soluble at that point and taking out the inner coating of your boiler and slowly corroding it away. And you'll actually have that in your cup. It's horrible. You don't want to do that. You don't want to be replacing your boilers all the time. And also RO water and the super empty water, it does not taste that great. It is very empty. You want that mixture of mineral content to really enhance the flavor profiles of your coffee. Now, on the other hand, if it's too heavy, let's say it has a lot of calcium carbonates within that, then that can actually create scale. As soon as your water boils up and then cools down, this actually solidifies inside your machine and will have to perform a descale. Now, there's products and ways around this, including BWT filters, which you'll actually see some of the aqualizer filters right behind John there that actually exchange those calcium carbonates, these things that will solidify after it cools down, and it'll exchange that calcium with magnesium, which will not solidify as that water cools down off of boiling. So really important to pay attention to your water. And there's also many machines out there that won't even let you brew without a mineral content because of how damaging it can be. So
that's right. That's right. And you know, the better your water is, the less scale-causing ingredients like calcium and things like that there are in your water, the less often you will have to descale. And keep in mind, most of these machines are made with a thermoblock boiler. Tiny little channels going in a coil are what are actually heated up to get the water up to 200 degrees. So the tinier those channels, one little piece of scale can cause some flow issues with water. So you'll know when it's time to descale, but it's also very important to make sure that you're on top of your descaling so that you don't run into those issues. I had a chat with one of our lead technicians just before we started, and I asked him, what are you most worried about when it comes to cleaning super autos? And he said descaling. And the reason being, on a semi-automatic machine, a lot of those are pretty easy to find exactly where you need to be. You know, okay, I need to unscrew this pipe and clean out some scale from in there. That's one thing. Much more difficult on super automatic machines to get where you need to be to find the exact little piece of scale that's causing a problem. And that's where it just comes down to, number one, use quality water so you're not going to be getting too much scale. And two, when you do get a notification on these machines to descale, it's very important that you actually do it. Otherwise, you might run into much, much bigger issues. So got to stay on top of that. The good news is you get a notification when it's time to do that.
Yeah, so if you're skipping that notification, it's like, oh man, I finally got around to descaling our machine. We get this actually a lot within our tech and even our sales floor of like, hey, I'm not getting any flow. I just descaled my machine. Well, the key thing is there, I didn't do it often, and then it stopped flow. There's basically chunks of scale within that line at that point that now got dislodged, and now we're blocking your flow. So that's a huge issue that we get a lot of calls about. So paying attention to your water is hugely important. Definitely pay attention to that water and descale it when your machine tells you to. I mean, that's the best feature about these super autos. It tells you when to do things. It's great.
Oh, for sure. And you know what? Speaking of which, we are actually getting the little priming right now. These machines, I didn't want to spend too much time on super automatics because it's actually going to tell you exactly what to do. For example, right now, I haven't even touched anything yet, and it's just doing a quick little rinse right through the spouts in just a moment. Yep, there it is.
And that's mainly to kind of get out any coffee residue that might be stuck within your machine. And that's a huge difference too. There's some cleaning agents that are going to be getting rid of coffee residue, that like Cafeza and things like that. That gets rid of more of coffee, but it's not getting rid of scale. So that is what a descaler's for.
That's right, yeah. Now, I'm going to come around to the front this time, Zach. We're going to have a look at that brew group one more time. And I want to show you where the dreg drawer and things like that are. So you can just open this entire unit right up.
Yeah, just with a button right on the side there. So nice and easy to really open that up and get inside there.
Just push this button right here. And this one actually is a pretty dirty machine right here. I did want to make sure that this was actually a very dirtied up machine. I used it quite a bit before we got going. So again, here's your brew group. You do want to make sure that things are lubricated. You can even lubricate this little track right here. Now your dreg drawer.
John, you're blocking the track.
Thanks, Zach. All right.
And this never before seen angle right in front of the machine.
If you're having a difficult time getting the brew group in, you can lubricate this track right here, and that can really help. I just want to show you where the dreg drawer is real quick. All these little things right over here, you want to make sure you get that stuff out of there. In fact, we're almost ready for to dump this. Dump all these grounds right here in this.
Yeah, and that dreg drawer just kind of sits right in there, so really easy to take out with everything. And the great thing about this too is that it has a pretty large drip tray as well, I would say. So
that's right. Yeah. Now, what I did want to show you is, oops, it actually is asking me to empty the puck drawer. That's okay. We can do that right now. So you'll see something called Gaggia clean tablets. It's pretty much, it's a similar product to Cafeza. We talked about that a lot last week. Actually, I got one right here. Thanks, Zach.
Dual trash cans. We were so ready to clean.
And it's a pretty similar product, the Gaggia clean tablets. And it's going to clean the actual brew group. And you know what? It's asking me to take care of the drip tray too. This is how dirty I got this machine before we started.
Purposefully.
Right. But they're going to come, a lot of them come with the machine. And all you do is just open it right out of this little package right here.
You've got one more to.
You're going to put it
clean.
Oh yeah, there's 2 drip trays here. There we go. All you do with those is just open it out of the package. You're going to put it in what we call the bypass chute, which is right on top of the machine. That's going to go
here.
That'll go straight into the
narrating off screen.
Yeah.
Right here.
Multi-talented. That bypass chute is going to go straight into the group where all the brewing happens. And it's going to be a pretty similar thing to what we did last week, where we cleaned the brew group. So let's see what we got here. What we're going to do is go right into our settings, and they make it super easy. Cleaning, yeah, that's exactly what I want. Let's do brew group clean. To activate, press the button, no problem. Let's do this. It's asking me to get some water in the water tank. We are good. Yep, got it. Put a cleaning tablet in the pre-ground coffee compartment. Nice and easy. Check. Place a container under the coffee spout. I have one right here.
Look at that. So prepared.
Occasionally I'm prepared, Zach. All right. Hit the check mark. It's going to do the work for you. Last week, what we had to do was put our backflush disc on the portafilter, put some Cafiza into the backflush disc, and keep turning the brew group on and off and on and off. 10 seconds on, 10 seconds off, and then we had to do the same thing with just water to make sure it doesn't taste like Cafiza or anything like that. Super automatic machine is going to do this entire process for you.
And I feel like we get that call pretty often too, is when people are asking about these super auto machines, it's like, oh, how easy is it to clean though? Like I want it to do basically everything on its own. It's like, it kind of does. It tells you exactly what to do, which is pretty minimal on what interaction it does need. And it's just super easy on these super autos.
Totally. You know, they are super automatic. Doesn't mean that you do nothing and it does everything. You do have to keep it clean, but it's going to tell you when it needs to be done. So these machines are on your team when it comes to that.
Definitely. And any other cleaning agents that you might need, like Rinza, anything like that, is oftentimes just right on that front and center setting button on most of these super autos. So super easy to find exactly what you need to do and when to clean. I mean, even when it comes to the steam wands on the specific Academia, this is a great feature that it does have just a clean button and that pulse button, which is huge. So what you see on a lot of prosumers is that, you know, after we steam our milk, that we have to quickly pulse to actually get out any of that milk residual within the line. This does that automatically right on the machine. So I think that's a great little feature within the Academia specifically, because it does have that steam wand, and then it also has a carafe.
That's right, yeah. We've got the carafe right here. The coffee clean tablets, actually the descaling process will send some descaler through the nozzle on the carafe as well. So it does kind of take care of everything for you. If you ever wanted to just take care of just the carafe, you can put some Rinza. We actually have some Rinza right over here. Oh, we've got the tablets.
We have the tablet version, but there are also liquid versions that we like to recommend for the super autos specifically. So.
Yeah, I mean, I use the liquid in semi-autos as well. It's all good. But all you would do is just run some liquid through the machine via the settings menu. It's got a button for every single one of these cleaning processes.
And you can already see the color of this water as well.
Yeah, you know what? Frankly, this machine, after how dirty I made it earlier today,
very purposefully. So.
Yeah, this machine needed a real good cleaning. So yeah, this is kind of what was on the inside of that machine. And if you haven't done this in a while, that might be what's on the inside of your machine. I'll tell you what, your coffee is going to taste better.
Oh yeah.
After you use one of these coffee clean tablets.
Yeah, so there's a couple clear signs here. So if your coffee isn't tasting like it normally is, or it tastes bad, that's when it really is time to go through the spring cleaning checklist of things. Whether it's cleaning your grinders and really getting down deep with those burrs, or just throwing some grinds inside there. These are a couple ways to really keep everything that you own nice and clean.
That's right. So. Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I had a blast doing this today. I love talking about this stuff because, I mean, I'm such a coffee quality nerd guy that you can't be that kind of person and expect super high quality coffee if things aren't clean. So this just helps us make awesome coffee, and it protects our machines. So I had a blast. I love talking about this kind of stuff. Thanks for joining me today, Zach.
Yeah, of course. I'm probably going to keep going on with the rest of the machines that we have here for CoffeeCast. So we'll just keep it running.
That's right.
Easy enough.
Now, don't forget to join us next week. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Next week, we are going to be talking about, I knew what it was a second ago.
We're going to be talking about something.
We're going to be talking about something next week. Yeah.
But we will let you know. Again, check out our Instagram as well, at Whole Latte Love. We usually post a good reel, something a little witty, just to let you know, and a sneak peek into what the next Friday will be. We usually post that around midweek, just so you know ahead of time when to tune in and why.
That's right.
So.
Hey, thanks again for joining us, Norm. Thanks for being on the boards today.
And we'll see you all next time.
Cheers, y'all.